Dear non-asexual people, if you were in a relationship with someone and they sat you down and said they are asexual, what would your reaction be? I've been on a date with an asexual guy. He told me 1 hour into the date. I had nothing but respect for straight up telling me. I said I want sex to be a part of a relationship. He respected my choice and we had a great date. We were friends for long after that. I love how your username is just 3 different languages for cheese. Wish them well. Find someone who shares my interests. Yeah, and I think this should have been discussed before going into a relationship, not when you're already in the relationship. Edit. Look at me, 2 days on Reddit and already have 2 golds in my name. Mom, are you proud? I have several asexual friends and I know how much diversity there is under that label. So I'd ask them what that looks like for them, and how they feel about our relationship as it is. What needs to change, if anything. Figure out if it makes sense to continue the relationship or maybe transition to a friendship. There are a lot of possibilities out there for open-minded people. Depends. If they're one of those asexuals who still likes sex but doesn't require it or pursue it, then I'd be a bit disappointed. But if it's of the sex-repulsed variety where there's no sex ever, I'd be inclined to pursue a relationship elsewhere because I don't want to commit to a sexless lifestyle. Edit. Apparently I started the typical discourse with my phrasing. Oof. After 18 months of trying to compromise and making each other miserable? We ended our 9-year marriage and sold the house we had built together. She couldn't comprehend me being able to have a physical relationship extra to the marriage, because it would have to involve some feelings, and how could I do that and still love her? And I couldn't bear to put her through the ordeal of sex, or the betrayal of cheating. So, it ended our relationship. It doesn't have to be that way. I have great intimate snuggles with someone I don't have sex with, and great sex with people I care about but don't want to live with. I live alone and it works. Being happy is everything. Say what you want and what you can accommodate. Just don't give up what makes you tick because you were told you have to share your life with someone. Wow, this is weird. This actually happened to me the other day. My partner came and told me she is asexual. We talked through what that meant to her, and basically she's not anti-sex. In fact, she enjoys it. She just has almost no independent interest in sex, and almost no attraction or sexual desire towards people. So, after checking that she was still happy with the way things are and she wouldn't prefer some alternative arrangement, we basically just agreed to continue as we have been throughout the relationship up to this point. Boring, I know. Sorry, edit. In fact, it made me feel more free to pursue my own kinks and desires. Since sex is now something she mostly does because she wants to make me happy, I feel less bad making it about my wants. Edit 2. Clarified a bit some people are picking up on. I've been there. College boyfriend after about a year of dating told me that they think they were asexual. We had been having sex until then, and it made me feel awful thinking that he might have not wanted to the entire time. I felt bad making him do that. It was always consensual, but I was worried he only did it because he felt he had to. Note. Not all asexual people would do what this guy did. I never shamed him for his lack of sexuality, but it made navigating the relationship more challenging. That relationship went on for at least another year, but ended up failing for a few reasons. I'm quite sexual, so that became a compatibility issue. We did not have sex thereafter. He was kind of a controlling person, not because he is asexual. He would make me feel ashamed for getting turned on or, God forbid, masturbating. He also guilted me in staying with him despite the lack of any sexual compromise. He basically said that if I really loved him, for him we would stay together. And I did love him a lot at the time, so that is why I stayed. I know now that sex is important to me, and really it is nice to be intimate with someone and to feel wanted in that way. I felt ugly for the longest time because any time I brought up this issue, I would either be rejected, ouch, or shamed for wanting anything sexual. In all, I hope that if anyone else finds themselves in this situation, i.e. with a partner that realizes they're asexual, that they can have a serious conversation and decide if this is enough of a compatibility issue to stop seeing each other. Sounds like he was a dick. Makes sense. Nobody could find me sexually attractive. This actually happened to me. He was so much fun, that sex ultimately did not matter. We had 8 years together before he went in search of new adventures, but we stayed friends until his death. I still miss him. This comment section is why I'm always upfront when a woman comes onto me. Yup. Everyone like, how could you do this to another person? Fuck. I'm not getting blamed for that. You're learning up front. This kinds of posts and comments are exactly what made me realize I am in the asexual spectrum, because the thought of never having sex again but still being with the woman I love is absolutely okay for me. Yep. Also, I cannot understand at all how not having sex for a few months can be like purgatory for normal people. When some of my friends sometimes say, I have not been laid in weeks, months, I can barely think straight anymore, I always assumed that they are excessively over-exaggerating. Maybe they were not. It might be shallow, but intimacy in bed is something I enjoy a lot. Not being able to do that would be a big deal breaker. Even if they gave me permission to play with others, not being able to do that stuff with my partner would be sad for me. I would most likely break off the relationship, but would still probably enjoy being good friends. Smiley face. It's not shallow to have sexual needs. My reaction was shock. We had been married for 14 years. Obviously something was up, and I had been trying to talk with them for years about it. We were in a dead bedroom situation for so long. After 2 years of therapy, they finally told me. They were non-binary, asexual. I took a few days to research and ask several questions. And we talked a lot. Learned they considered themselves asexual for many years and didn't tell me. In the end, we separated and divorced. Hardest thing I ever had to do. It's been 4 years. I am now remarried to someone who isn't asexual, and it's night and day difference. I know people change and you learn things in life. However, the hurt is that they knew for so long and didn't discuss or admit it. Just let a problem fester. I only wish that they would have been forthcoming. It wasn't like I wasn't trying to ask and understand. I'm not asexual, but I'm not a very sexual person. I can do just fine with my vibrator and my hand. On the other hand, I crave physical intimacy in the form of cuddles and closeness and the occasional prolonged makeout sesh, so yeah. That's my non-answer. Ask for more details. Are they sex repulsed or just disinterested? Would they be willing to watch me, or interact verbally? Do they like to still give pleasure to others, or only receive it, or are only certain kinds of touch okay? Can we kiss? Do we have to just stay above the belt? Are they okay with me masturbating and then we cuddle? Are they okay with me sleeping with someone else but then coming home to cuddle? It would depend on if it was a new realization to them or something they had lied about. If it was a new realization, I would be supportive and loving. Sex matters less and less as I age, so I would certainly try to keep an intimate relationship while respecting their authentic self. If they had lied by not disclosing, I would be out. Thanks for this. I'm not original poster, but I was kinda stressed out by all that. How could you do this to someone? Replies. I think in most cases it's probably the person realizing it, rather than hiding it from the start. This kind of asymmetry in relationships is a bad thing. One person is always sacrificing more to make it work. Yeah, that's why I wouldn't feel comfortable dating an asexual even if they were okay with having sex. I would just feel gross getting intimate with them knowing it would only be for my own benefit, even if they enjoy giving pleasure. Tell them what a great friend they are. Friends without benefits. Non-asexual. Please, we prefer to be called fuckers. Just to be clear, everyone. No judgment from me however you react, I'm just curious. Throwaway account, for obvious reasons. My wife and I have been married for nearly 15 years. We're in a small, southern town and she isn't as chronically online as I am. We never really had sex a lot, since our work schedules keep us apart a ton. She never knew asexuality was a thing until maybe a year or two ago. She just thought something was wrong with her. Sometimes it's hard. She says we still can have sex, since I enjoy it, but that really just kills it for me, too. Makes it feel like I'm just an item on a to-do list, honestly. She likes cuddling and other forms of intimacy, as do I, but there's just something about the way our brains are wired. Masturbation is always an option, and I definitely do. I know our situation is weird. I don't talk about it, because I don't want to be one of those guys, but it's rough. She was willing to open our marriage up to third person to help fulfill my needs, but that feels wrong to me for a few reasons. Nothing against polyamory. It works for people that are into it, but I feel like it would only further complicate what is an already complicated situation. Plus, I really only want to be with my wife. That said, if I wasn't a decade and a half in, with a house and cars in our name, maybe my answer would be different. Some might call it sunken cost fallacy, but I call it love. We've built our life together, and been through ups and downs. She's helped me a lot with my mental health issues and body image, and understands me on a fundamental level at least as well as I understand myself. The lack of sex is an issue, but it isn't a deal breaker. Relationships are pretty complicated. I am in an allo-ace marriage. Somewhat similar situation that she discovered her asexuality years into our marriage. I also do not find it a deal breaker. Divorce is not on the table. I was actually relieved when she came out cause I knew something was wrong in bed, but I thought it was me. Led to a lot of feelings of inadequacy on my part that I could never seem to please my wife. I do have some advice if you'd like. Don't open up the relationship. It almost always ends with jealousy and resentment, except perhaps in very rare cases. If sex is so important you would require another partner, then that's what you need, another partner. Time for a clean divorce. Masturbation is okay. It only takes one to tango, lol. My wife is sex repulsed, so as long as she doesn't have to hear or think about it, I can do what I like to meet my needs. If you are feeling resentment or betrayal or any negative feelings like that, please talk about it openly. There is no reason to sit on your hands and just hope things improve on their own. About your wife offering sex, there are so many flavors of asexuality. She may legitimately want to initiate sex with you for many reasons. Might be a nice endorphin release, maybe she wants to feel close to you, perhaps she enjoys seeing you in pleasure. As long as she is not doing it out of guilt or a feeling of sense of requirement. Hey, reach out to me if you need. Good luck with everything. I found this and I'm more confused. Maybe I'm asexual. Seems like the only real defining point is, they can't just look at someone and want to have sex based on physical attraction alone, like a demisexual is a form of asexual, says being sexually fluid. So I have to correct my answer. Because it's such a wide spectrum, I need more specifics on the type they are. I should not make assumptions or pass judgment. For me personally, I don't put any label on my sexuality. I personally don't find it useful, and if anything just makes people have preconceived ideas about what it means. Really none of this stuff is new. Just many of the labels are. Like graysexual, that's completely new to me. Why can't we all just find a partner or lifestyle that works for us and go with it? Everyone is different and unique. What's with all the boxes? What's most important in a relationship is honest, trust, and communication. So my final reaction would be, can you drop the term and talk about specifically what you want, need, and feel? That is the only way we can find love and capability. The label defines literally none of your actions. If you want to label your actions, that's between you and yourself. If I were to label your actions, or assume something from a label, wouldn't that be judging, oversimplifying and assuming? Man, that's exhausting. My partner came out as ace a few months ago. My original reaction was honestly guilt that I'd been making her uncomfortable. She isn't sex repulsed, so there was no need for me to go outside the relationship. It takes strong communication tbh, getting my needs met while making sure it's okay with it. But at the end of the day, I plan on spending my life with her. If things change, then we work through it together. The answers I've been reading here depress me a bit while also make me thank goodness for my husband. Considering there are tons of reasons sex drives can change in a relationship, getting older, meds, mental health, etc., I wouldn't care. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy sex, but I love my husband. And there are a lot of different ways to show intimacy that aren't sex. I'd talk with them, figure out what it means to them to be asexual, what their versions of intimacy are, and love them regardless. I can live without sex. I can't live without love and friendship. ETA. I've been married for a while now, years and years. I've had periods where I just didn't have a sex drive, thank you meds. My husband has gone through the same, thank you stressful work. And the thought of losing him because of no sex is depressing to me. Because I love him for so very many reasons that don't include sex. Did it suck during the time? Yes. Did we have to find other ways to show physical intimacy? Yes. Was it hard and challenge our marriage? Yes. So yes, the answers are depressing to me because I can't help but think, what if that had been a hard line in the sand for us? I wouldn't be on the couch playing Borderlands and eating pizza on a chilly day with the love of my life right now. I wouldn't be able to reach over and just squeeze his hand. I wouldn't be able to just say, I love you. I wouldn't get to wake up tomorrow and see his face. And that's not a life I want. Tell them that I fully understand and support them, but unfortunately we aren't compatible. If they're sex repulsed, I don't think there's a way to make that work with me, but if they're just neutral on it, I assume it should be fine, like any other give and take in a relationship. Throw my flip phone to the concrete and curb stomp my skateboard in half. Considering I kind of need sex in my life, I would be a little disappointed. I'll try to see if I can find something while still being in a relationship with them, a peaceful decision. But if it turns out I simply can't handle it, I might have to break up. As it's hard to stay satisfied. I would be okay with it. Sex isn't important to me. Helicopter dick. It's the only way to see if they are telling the truth. The lack of awareness of how asexuality works here is ridiculous. Just because I'm a vegan doesn't mean I can't enjoy a juicy steak once in a while. My shellfish allergy is to be taken seriously. But sometimes you just want to go to the seafood buffet. I broke my leg so I can't run. Except when I want to. These look ridiculous because we're used to accept people's restrictions and limitations in all other cases. So assuming asexual means what the name sounds like is reasonable and respectful. Most people would likely be open to hearing the nuances as well, but you can't expect people to know the details of everything. Especially not in this day and age where people will self-diagnose with anything that's trending on TikTok.